He won't be caught dead playing roads and boats. When people make him mad, he wants to punch him in the throats. Not the kind of grumpy, but he's also...
Hey folks, welcome back to another segment of my top 100 games of all time. Now we have broken the barrier. We are now in my top 50 games of all time. And I think these are 50 games that are just jam-packed with a lot of fun for a lot of different kinds of situations. And for all of those different reasons, that is why they are in my top 50. So hang on to your hats, because here we go. Now, my number 50 has fallen from a coveted 6th position on my list back in 2014, and it is a game that I have talked a lot about over the years, and I've really enjoyed it over the years. So the fact that it has simply slipped has really nothing to do with the game itself. It has more to do with my personal being able to get it to the table or not. And so that is why it has fallen so much from number 6 to number 50, Jamaica. Now, it is still a great game. It's still a family-centric game. A great racing game with a superb theme on it that was well implemented and very well depicted in the artistic style that was used. So there is nothing bad necessarily about its slip from 6 to 50. It's just that I just don't get it played as much as I would like to for a top 10 spot. So Jamaica, my number 50, there you go. My number 49 is new to the list this time around, and Richard Borg makes a lot of really neat war games. They're light, they're fun, and there isn't really a lot in the market right now for a World War I game that fits all of those parameters that Richard's games usually have with it, but he definitely hit it out of the park with The Great War. Now, there were some problems with the plastic miniatures, and I talked to them at Essen, and they said that they have fixed that problem, and there's going to be new things coming out for the game. So keep your eye on PSC games, because they seem to be a company that learns from mistakes and listens to its constituents. So please, I don't think I use constituents right. Who cares? But you get what I mean. They listens to their customer, and they make changes where they need to be made. So The Great War, they made trench warfare a non-boring experience from a game perspective. So that's a huge step, makes it very fun to play, even though trench warfare was not fun at all. But when you depict that in a game, you have to make it not boring. And I think Richard Borg did that with The Great War. That's why it made my list at number 49. The Great War. My number 48 is a game that came out after X-Wing, the miniatures game, did, and it took it to another echelon. It came back a little bit, and now you're using mainly capital ships to fight each other. That's Star Wars Armada. Now, Star Wars Armada is probably... I don't know, it's not... I like it a little bit better than X-Wing because I love the models that are in it. Being able to control a capital ship is very cool, and I love how the game looks on the board. There's a lot of new things that came out, the dials where you choose what you're going to do in a number of orders ahead of time, and that was an interesting mechanic for me. The turning mechanism for those big capital ships was a neat thing for me as well. So a lot of these things that come into the picture make it just a little bit better than X-Wing for me. I still really enjoy X-Wing for its snub fighter, kind of more of a I guess you could say a first-person shooter, flying game kind of feel, but I really enjoyed all of the new step-ups and mechanics that Armada brought to the table. So that is my number 48, Star Wars Armada. My number 47 has risen. Now, I talk a lot about games that have slipped, but this one has actually come up in the ranks. It was 79 back in 2014, but sitting strong now at 47 is Star Realms from White Wizard Games. And the reason this has risen so much for me is because I like all of the new expansions that they've come out with it. I like the new standalone expansion that they've came out with called... what Colony Wars, I really enjoyed that. All of the new expansions that they've came out here just recently at Essen, those were all very cool. And this is a game that I can play with every single member of my family, and most of them enjoy it. So I really enjoy my number 47, Star Realms. Real quick, 2-player deck building game. A lot of cool stuff going on there. Check it out. My number 46 is just came out this year, so it's brand new addition to the list, and it's really came on strong for this list. It's one of my favorite 2-player games to play right now. I really like the card play in it. I like the miniatures. I like the theme. Raptor by Cathala and Faduti. Probably sometimes 2 of my favorite designers, more so than Cathala than Faduti, but he has a lot of cool games under his belt as well. I really enjoy this game for everything that I've just said. I like the theme, I like the gameplay, I like the lighthearted nature of it, I like how strategic it can be, but I also like how it can be very tactical as well, because you have to go off of what your opponent has already done, gauge the card that you're going to play, and there's a very tight cat and mouse game that's going on here. Really enjoy Raptor a lot. If you haven't checked it out, you really should. It's a great 2-player game. My number 46, Raptor. I'm going to probably plunge a knife into Z's heart about right now. Now, I won't plunge it very deeply. We'll make it to where he'll survive and he'll live. But slipped down from number 19. My number 45 is Pandemic. Now, you might be saying, what? You liked Pandemic Legacy so much. Why did Pandemic slip for you? Well, a couple of things here. First of all, I'm considering Pandemic and Pandemic Legacy the same. And you might be saying, okay, so it should be higher than it was last year. Not necessarily, because I noticed something while I was playing Pandemic Legacy. I really enjoyed Pandemic Legacy. I loved it a lot. But it left me feeling, okay, I can't play this game anymore. If I want to play Pandemic now, I've got to go back to the original, which just isn't as fun as Pandemic Legacy was. And so I know that might seem like kind of a backwards way of thinking, but that's the feeling that it gives me. I'm less excited to play Pandemic now because of how much fun I had playing Pandemic Legacy. And so there's a lot of difference there, I guess. But hey, that's what I think. My number 45, Pandemic. My number 44 is another one of those games that has risen in the ranks and not slipped. And this is because I was able to play this a couple of times recently since my last list, and I remembered how much I liked it, and so it came up higher for me. My number 44, it was 70 back in 2014, and that is Twilight Struggle. I really enjoy this game. I love how it can be educational, but it's still fun, and it still gives you the feeling that you're at the helm of one of these 2 superpowers during one of the most tension-filled parts of our history. And I just really enjoy the entire concept that is Twilight Struggle. I was able to play it just a while back, and really enjoyed it. So there might be a little bit of nostalgia factor in there, just trying to keep it real a little bit there, but I really have to say that this is a game that I truly and sincerely enjoy. That is my number 44, Twilight Struggle. My number 43 is a game that actually replaced another game. Now, that other game wasn't on my list last time that I recall, but this game has definitely replaced War of the Ring for me, and that is the Battle of Five Armies. Now, you've heard my reasons why I don't necessarily like War of the Ring. I don't like having to declare war before I can go to war. You know, it just seems like the bad guys have a leg up there, and I know that's thematic. I know they're supposed to have the leg up, and I just don't like that in a game. In a movie, in a book, hey, put the guys that are the good guys, you know, at a huge handicap and have them come back and all of this. That's great to watch. It's not so great to play, in my opinion. Battle of Five Armies is not like that. You can go to war, you can attack, you can do whatever you want, but it still has that very card-driven, tactical, strategic feel to it. And so I really do enjoy the Battle of Five Armies. It has replaced War of the Ring for me completely, and it has debuted at number 43 on my list. So at number 43, Battle of Five Armies. That probably hurt a lot, sorry. Another high debut to the list, number 42, is a game by Gray Fox Games called Champions of Midgard. And this is another game that has totally replaced another game, Lords of Waterdeep, for me. Has a very similar feel to Lords of Waterdeep, but it has a better theme in my opinion, and it has a better implementation, a more thematic implementation of that theme as well. I like how you can stay in the village and kind of prepare your party to go and sail across the seas. And then when you're finally ready, you purchase that boat, you get in that boat, you sail across the seas, you can prepare as much as you possibly can, and then something can just simply go wrong, or all of your plans go right. You can play cards. Just a great, fun, thematic Viking game that Gray Fox has there. My number 42, Champions of Midgard. And my number 41, last one for this segment, is a game that I've used in a number of situations, not the least of which is youth group at my church. I've played it with my family, I've played it with gamers, played it in a number of different ways, and it has shown in every single one of those situations. It was number 34 in 2014, so it has slipped a little bit, but I think it's finding its niche in my list in the 30 or 40 area, and that is The Resistance. A great social deduction game, a lot of things that you can learn about groupthink in that game, and I really do enjoy it a lot. Not very difficult to play, very simple to teach, and I think that's why it shines in a number of the different situations that I bring it up in. So my number 41 this year, The Resistance. And so that's it for this segment. I want to thank you again for joining me through this. We've only got 40 more games to go, 4 more segments until we are done. So again, try to stay with me and we'll get this finished. See you guys on the flip side.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.